Essentially, the basic technique for all types of running is very similar. Over the years, I've had many people saying to me, hopefully in jest, that running is simply a case of putting one foot in front of the other, and therefore must be easy to coach. It is fair to say this is a little more involved than that. However, what we do on each stride is about using the least amount of energy possible for the speed we're running at. And to that end, sprinters and long distance runners will cycle their legs round to a position where their knee is up in front of them and then drops down to strike the ground in a way which allows the fastest running action possible. This requires the foot landing to be not too far in front of the hips, and that generates the forces needed off the ground to propel our bodies forwards and upwards, the latter of which is overcoming gravity. In both cases, we're also looking for a contact through the ground which is primarily through the forefoot, although this doesn't mean that the heel can't touch the ground, as this allows us to use not just the quadricep or thigh muscles, which would be the case in a heel striking action, but to fully utilise the muscles and tendons up the back of our legs, technique referred to as our posterior chain muscles. The Achilles tendon is very important in the running action, as anyone with pain in this area will instinctively know. Its function is to store energy as we land, which is reused to propel us forwards as we run. This storage coming through the controlled action of our calf muscle as we land. This is known as stretch shortening, or the plyometric way of producing energy in movement. If we land very heavily on our heels, the amount of time on the ground means this energy has dissipated away and we can't use it effectively. Having looked at some of the ways in which fast and slow running are similar, we must look at some of the variations. Essentially, these boil down to the amount of energy we can use on each stride for the various distances we run. The body has a natural rhythm of about 180 steps per minute. Please don't try to replicate this, as it varies a bit from person to person. This is true for all distances above 800 metres. It is just in the longer distances we produce a shorter stride and therefore run slower. However, for sprints we increase this cadence to anything up to about 240 steps a minute. This is one of the big differences and is highlighted by a couple of the main differences you'll see between sprinting and distance running. Firstly, sprint ground contact time is a lot shorter. The calf and Achilles work far more dynamically on the ground, with some sprinters even being strong enough to take off before their foot leg is fully extended behind them to allow more steps to be generated as they run. Secondly, the hip flexor complex works much harder on each step in a sprinter. This is a relatively small group of muscles and would tire very fast if it were done for a longer period of time. This means that a lot more front side mechanics are employed. This is a part of the running action where the legs are in front of the body. Distance runners will tend to trail their legs out behind them a little more because of this. Physiologically, if distance runners carried the same amount of muscle mass as sprinters, they wouldn't be able to get in enough oxygen to service this muscle and would tire very quickly, hence the slighter build, generally, of those in longer distance races. So, a decreased contact time, involvement of additional muscle groups, working harder, and physiological differences all allow sprinters to produce a greater stride length and increase their cadence to about 240 steps a minute, compared to the relatively shorter and slower stride of a distance runner. We will look in more details at specifics of all running actions in later videos. We hope you'll join us for these. Thanks for watching. Please have a look at some of our other videos and subscribe to our channel to see our future ones. To find out more information about Momentum Sports, have a look at our website and social media pages found in the description below.